Hello everybody, welcome back to another Saturday Smackdown. This week, Aizamk versus Yurashic. This series was fairly short. Instead of a best of 7, we instead did just a best of 3. And this is because we were casting some tournament games instead of Smackdown. In place of Smackdown, we had Samwise 12 vs Maito for the quarterfinals of the ESOC Summer Championships. So the fact that this series happened as well is kind of a bonus, actually. So yes, a pretty good series with Aizamk playing versus Yurashic, involving petards. Spain versus Iroquois. A fairly interesting matchup. Certainly one of the better games in this series. Definitely one to watch. That was probably the best one, so do check that one out if you only have time for one of these. But this video is game number 1, and tomorrow's video, the next video, will be game number 2, and then the video, etc. You get the point. I will be uploading the full videos. I'll go back to that, where I put all of the games in one video. I used to do that in the future. I will continue to do that, but since this was just a best of 3, I thought I'd put these games up individually. So, without further ado, enjoy the video. So let's get into this. Hello, everybody. This is a post Smackdown, a second Smackdown, if you will, after a fairly short tournament series, though there were some very, very close, sort of longer games. Well, not hugely long, but certainly close games. Samwise versus Maito. Do check that out. That will be available on YouTube, my channel, presumably. But second Smackdown here, spawning in the north of the map in the color yellow, we do have Aizamk spawning with 300 wood. Gonna be pretty happy about that as British. Perhaps he will lay down a trading post, as Aizamk sometimes elects to do.
He's running the wrong way.
Several civilizations. He's going in the wrong direction. I do wonder if maybe he's playing a bit more standard then. Aizamk has something else in mind here. Doesn't want a trading post today. But it's really, really hit and miss with him. He'll do something one day and then something totally different the other. And it's refreshing to see a player that still just does different builds all the time.
I reckon he's going to do that thing where he ships Virginia Company, makes like 12 houses or wherever it is in age 1.
We'll have to keep an eye out on his first shipment then. But Yurashic spawning in the south of the map as well. Also going to be happy with a wood crate start because it means he can gather less wood from the trees in order to get his second village down. And he will need a second village, otherwise the northern refugee shipment isn't quite as effective, as you don't get as many villages. But British versus China. Wow.
Wow, what? Are you just impressed by the matchup?
I am. Yep.
Well,
I'm impressed by the fact that it's not a mirror, because that seems to be...
It seems like that's all we've watched recently. Yeah, I used to be super on board that this was really Brit favored, and I think it probably is still Brit favored on Siberia. One thing that we have noticed with some of the more recent maps is that they're a bit less high hunt. And as a result of that, we see more of this less hunt-dependent civs and civs that can control the map with tempo and stuff like that. But Brits obviously still very good on high hunt, and on a map like this, I think some sort of 5-cav semi-FF where they just boom lights out really hard. Can still be very, very strong. And as I called it, we can see that Aze is chopping a ridiculous amount of wood.
Here we go, 50 wood treasure. Who's gonna get it? What happened there? Did you see that?
I missed it. I see that Aze got it.
Yeah, but the Blue Explorer freaked out and did like a 360 backflip or something.
Oh, really?
I don't know. The turn radius happened super quick. I don't know what happened.
I don't know why he didn't keep fighting as well. Your life would have ended over there had Yurashic decided he was going to keep fighting.
The Explorer's name being, of course, mine. My life. Thank you, Ace, for keeping me alive.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm such a baller, though, rolling in there, picking up the 50 wood. And it's funny I say that, my surname being Ball.
And then scooting down out. Yeah, there it comes. Look, and he did it. He did the thing where he chops a bunch of wood and then builds 1 million houses in age 1.
Yep. Slow age time. Probably going to get away with this then versus China, who frequently has that sort of Fortress Age agenda. There's not going to be any early pressure that's going to punish you for doing this, and gets away with an insane amount of villagers. I wonder how efficient this is in the sense that they're only just appearing now at sort of 2 minutes 50 seconds into the game. But still, that's a lot of villagers, right? He's now quite far ahead in terms of villagers.
That's so many villagers. Like, look at how many manor houses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 manor houses. That's 7 villagers in age 1. That can't be disregarded. Now, as you mentioned, he is going to be aging up very, very slowly. Take a look at his food count. Only at 200 right now. He doesn't have any hunting dogs or anything like that as well. And as a result, he's going to be aged up quite slowly. But he's going to have a monster eco. And against a civ like China, where it doesn't really matter how slow you age up, because one, China's always going to age up slowly himself. And two, he doesn't really have much of an agenda until probably 7.5-ish minutes in the game. You're going to be perfectly fine getting away with this greedy kind of play. And as a result, we can see a bunch of villagers, 21 villagers now currently for A's at the 3.5 minute mark of the game.
Oh, wow. And he still has 3 villages of shipment available as well, which I don't think he'll necessarily send, since 700 wood is, so good. But yeah, that 700 wood shipment is going to be insane now, because it actually nets him more manor houses than it normally does. And is most likely going to be on the agenda for Aizamk. Aside from that, though, fairly normal things out of China has gathered. Yeah. Where is China? Yeah,
China's playing completely standard.
Drank too much cola watching Sam versus Mate.
Implying that he's going to run to the loo.
Yeah. The loo. Oh, is that a phrase you often use, or is it just because I'm here?
It's because you're British.
When
I hang around with British people like you and Sam, I start like picking up British phrases and start like saying them. Even in my everyday life, I think I called something like the WC the other day, and people were like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Like, that's a British thing.
That's something that an American probably shouldn't say.
Next, you'll acquire a taste for tea, and
yes.
Well, I was going to say something else. I can't remember what it was. Never mind. The game's about to resume.
Tea and crumpets.
Tea and crumpet. That's a stereotype. I don't eat very many crumpets.
And bad teeth, like my teeth will just start dissolving. There's another stereotype.
That's a stereotype. Well, we have the same healthcare that everyone else in well, I guess the US has as well. Now it's the 21st century, but it may have been true years back. I have no idea.
Or maybe just like people in Great Britain have a strong dislike of brushing your teeth or something. How often do you brush your teeth? I'll ask you this question.
Twice
a day.
Twice a day.
See, and that's
when I wake up and before I go to bed.
Yeah, I only brush my teeth once a day, and so it's not like my dental hygiene is better than yours. In fact, yours is probably better than mine. I've also never had a cavity though in my life. Only brushing my teeth once a day. So
perhaps you drink less cola. What are we going on about? What's in front of us now?
I don't know.
I guess like your sugary diet can be a factor in it. What is this random wall segment?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what was up with that either, because it's kind of like blocking off his pathing to get to the trees. It just feels a bit arbitrary to me.
Perhaps it's like, that you can put a gate, you just make it into a gate and just walk his villagers through it so the cavalry can't get to him.
Or maybe maybe you can just jam like 1 billion longbows in that hole or something. I don't know.
We'll see what he does. Aizamk has usually a reason for most things he does. But at this point in the game, we see from Aiz truly nothing but manor houses going down. He's collected actually nothing but wood during transition. He did gather the gang store, and he has, by the looks of it, enough villagers on food to sustain villager production. Having said that, though, actually does just age up with 500 food. And as a result of that, is just going to power out villagers with that. Continues to gather wood, and has, at this point, really no interest in building a military building by the looks of it.
Yeah, and it's also important to note behind this, he's getting away with it because his opponent, the Chinese player, is doing like 100% by the book China. He has made 2 villages, he's sent northern refugees, he's shipped 700 coin. I can almost guarantee we'll see 700 wood next. And he's just doing completely normal stuff. Well, Aiz is, kind of got this build of his own imagination going up, yet to really tip his hand as to what he's going to do. I reckon there's a chance he just like eco FFs and just doesn't really even bother with military until the third age, and just tries to match whatever China's going to do in the third age. Yeah, 3 more.
And 700 wood comes down as well. How many, he's a 150 population, so that's 14, now 15 manor houses, subtracting 10 population for the town centre, of course. He's just going to get 20 manors by the looks of it before he does anything else. That's his early game agenda. 20 manas and 700 coin by the looks of it to age up with.
Yeah, it's 100% just like I said, straight eco FF is all this is.
And by the looks of it, he's not even going to be that far behind. Certainly, he's going to be a bit further behind, but has all the food to age up with and 700 coin on the floor. Yeah. Eco FF, as you mentioned.
Yeah. The one thing that we do have to remember though is that Brits don't have a fast age up, and so as a result of that, this age up is going to be fairly slow. And so China, I mean, who is aging up now with the porcelain tower of his own, which, as I mentioned, does give all those resources very, very strong. The equivalence, as you mentioned, to about 8 villagers, is going to not be so far behind economically, and is going to have a very early tech advantage. It's going to be ball in China's court to really make something happen with this significantly faster age up, because, as we can see right now, 38 villagers to 25 is decidedly in Brit's favor in terms of economy. It's just going to be down to whether or not the Brit player gets punished for this severe over-booming, I guess you could almost say.
What do we have here, though? We see as 2 stables going down, of all things. Wow, that's interesting. And by the looks of it, doesn't have intentions of actually training any cavalry, since his food pile is significantly higher than his coin pile. I think this signals that he has intentions of a fast industrial agenda, just by the fact that, let's take a look at the queue. What does he have here? No units in queue at that stable. Yeah, I think he has the intention of going up to the industrial age here. Wow.
Do you think so? It's
no,
hard
there's
to
some cavalry. 4 cav in queue now, perhaps. Perhaps intends to get maybe a semi-FI then.
It could be, or it could just be he's going to power out 1.5 million Hussar, and he wants, to be able to not only train Hussar in big batches, but also be able to immediately slam down the veterancy upgrade. That's kind of what the 2 stables signals to me. When your economy is this big, right, if you're going to take the time out to actually get that upgrade going, you lose out on a lot of training time, and you do start to stockpile a lot of resources. So he probably just wants to be able to very efficiently spend his resources once he gets aged up, and it looks like his agenda is going to be dragoons, and we have an artillery foundry coming down somewhere as well. So
yeah, we do. Where is that?
Oh, it's probably over here. Yeah, of course, it's somewhere super obvious.
Proxy artillery foundry. Okay, seems normal. But 5 cavalry now coming in. Perhaps they'll pick up a raid here. Perhaps kill some villagers. They are seen by the tower, and Yurashic going to be sending his pikemen over accordingly.
Yeah.
Petards in queue. Okay. Dragoon petard.
Yeah.
As his composition. I think makes 5 cav during transition, and then makes nothing with dragoons from his 2 stables here with petards. What is he going to kill with them? What's the target?
I guess just the town center at this point, so that he can just run in and start killing stuff with his dragoons. But I think what you mentioned is going to be right. I think we're going to see... Oh, no. I was going to say, with the resources he's stockpiled, he is maybe going to FI, but look at Yurashic. Yurashic is definitely FIing.
Perhaps that's the counter, he thinks, to the British player doing this FI against it. Perhaps not, though. It does have a lot of units in his base, and as we know, petards are on the way, and actually the petards are going to walk straight past this wonder, which is built out over here in the corner to avoid the pressure.
He could just torch the wonder with petards and be perfectly fine. Right? Like,
oh, dear.
He could just blow it up.
Yeah. Though it does still have 5,000 hit points, it is worth mentioning. Yeah. But if you can do 5,000 damage to it, it does die before it gets up. But it is interesting to note that the building has all of the hit points before it's, the second you lay it down. That way you can't just, see your opponent age up with a super fast rush and, pikeman it down before they can age. But, yeah, these could... I don't know. I don't know if Ace is
it only takes 4. It only takes 4, and he's got out the petards.
Is he just going to see it?
If he sees it,
This is the first time he scouts it.
Please see it. Please see it. Please see it. See it. See it. Yes. Yes. Yes, and he's got it counted out right as well. He knows it takes 4. He even saves the 1. So good. What do you do if you're Yurashic? It's just...
Where did the 2,000 resource... Oh, he lays it down over here now. He's committed to getting it. It's going to be...
Oh, it was 75% of the way up, too. It was so close to being up.
All right, that's made my day. The explosion animation on that is actually
so
wonderful.
And I love how he had it calculated out. He knew how many, because I did the quick math to see how many petards it would actually take to kill it. And I love the fact that he had 5. He quick calculated it out, realized he only needed 4, saved one of the petards so that he could use it on the village as well. And now he's going to be able to mop up a bunch of villagers over here. And despite the fact that, yeah, Yurashic is going to get to the industrial age now,
the tempo is gone.
The tempo is gone. There's no big scary shipments that are going to be able to deal with this many Hussar and Dragoons. And
this entire time, Aizamk's economy is absolutely monstrous.
Yeah, it's been bonkers this whole time, right? Like
yeah.
he's been sitting on 40 plus villagers for.
This is Aiz making the civilization he's playing, or making himself look like such a strong player. But this strategy, I feel as if, is not going to be, like, I think because Yurashic decided to go up to the industrial age, what Aiz did here looks super effective. Most of the time, though, I don't think the petards are going to do nearly as much. They're not going to be as devastating as they looked here.
Here comes another round. There goes the town center.
6,000 siege attack. Siege warrior that dies when it attacks buildings, but does loads of damage.
Yeah, well, that's an accurate description. As we can see, the Summer Palace going down very, very quickly, getting blown up. Let's see if he just. I mean, at this point, he can kind of do whatever he wants. We can see 2 Falconets coming as the next card. There's no way. There's any way possible he's going to be able to kill all of this cav. Although that being said, like
that's a lot of pikemen popping out, and considering all of his units are nothing but cavalry, that's doing good damage. But they do manage to escape since they are cavalry. They can get away, and of course dragoons have that range advantage. They'll be able to clear up these pikes, and there were 2 cannons there. Does do a fairly decent amount of damage, but these pikes aren't going to be enough unless he can get something else to add to his composition, say some arquebusier as well. But what was his sort of plan with the industrial age? Of course, old hand reforms makes these sort of stick not so good units very, very strong, and then would be able to compete with British on sort of that level, despite their economy being worse than the British players.
I think that
does get out some crossbowmen as well, but I don't know if it's enough to deal with Aizamk's composition. Very strong at the moment.
Probably not. And I think, as you mentioned, I think that just was the plan. I think he was hoping that he could bait his opponent into getting a little bit over-eager with his economy, and maybe try and just get up into the 4th age and sneak in some really strong shipments. There's a lot of very strong shipments available to the Chinese player in the 4th age.
And once you're in the 4th age, doesn't the Flying Crow become absolutely monstrous as well? But the Summer Palace has been destroyed, so they're no longer going to be in a threat. But
Confucian Academy, though, that's where it comes from. So
what's the wrong one?
So, but yeah, I mean, and it takes 5 minutes or whatever to train that first one, which is quite a bit of time as well. That you have to weather that storm before you start getting that free artillery. It's a good idea, and any time you can, push some sort of huge tech advantage, it's obviously going to be good for you, but not going to be able to do quite enough damage here, I don't think.
Oh dear.
The silence of amazement as we just as we marvel at the play.
And that is the end of the game there. Yurashic saying GG, Aizamk taking the first game. That was unfortunate. It truly was. It truly was. Like, the fact that the petards were made and just walked straight past the wonder. If he built that wonder on the other side in sort of a similar position, but on the other side of his town center, Aiz would not have seen that at all, and the game could be different. Though having said that, he probably wouldn't have a town center, but that does conclude the first game.
It was just a bit of good luck, like you mentioned, right? The fact that the artillery foundry just and he just happened to walk by that slowed him down so much. I mean, we didn't even really get to see the full effect of what Yurashic was trying to execute here, because his wonder did just blindly get picked off, and that just comes down to luck. That there's nothing really that skillful about that. Both players just randomly had those buildings in those locations, and as you mentioned before, it just makes Aiz look like an absolute genius. But he had an extra 2 minutes as a result of killing that wonder, so nothing can really be said as a result of that. But Still a fun game to, a funny game to watch, nonetheless.
A funny game. Oh, Aizamk. What a guy.
What a guy.
You know, the only reason he won was because the explorer's named William Ball.
Yes, of course, naturally. Like, it's the only thing that makes sense.